Welcome to the Agent of Wealth podcast with Marc Bautis from Bautis Financial. In this podcast, Marc helps guide you towards financial freedom, ensure you never run out of money, and create a balance in life that prioritizes what is most important to you. Join us for this journey as Marc draws from years of expertise and guest experts to solve the multiple wealth building challenges involved in your financial life.
Welcome back to the Agent of Wealth. This is your host, Marc Bautis. Today we have a truly one-of-a-kind guest. You might recognize him as the Question Mark guy, or from his unforgettable infomercials and TV appearances that showed millions of Americans how to unlock government grants and benefits. Matthew Lesko has spent over 4 decades uncovering ways for people to access funds they never knew were available, and he sold over 4 million books in the process. Now, at 81, Matthew is still on a mission to help others through his platform, Lesko Help, where he's guiding a community of thousands toward the resources they need. Matthew, welcome to the show.
Well, thank you. Nice to be here. Actually, at this age, above ground is my only thing. As long as I'm above ground.
That's always a good thing, right? So you're known as America's #1 grant expert, and you've shown millions of Americans how to take their next big step to finding these government grants. What inspired you to start helping people access government grants and benefits?
And greed. I wanted to figure out how to feed myself.
Yeah.
And it was trying to do so. I always wanted my own business of some kind. And I got an MBA after going to war. My generation, we had a draft. You don't even know how to spell that, do you? And so I didn't want to be drafted into the... I was not a camper, and so sleeping in the jungle didn't appeal to me at all. So I joined the Navy, which was great. And it was 2 years, 3 months, 9 days, or 3 years, 2 months, 9 days. That's what it is. Got out of there, got an MBA, and just started looking for businesses to start. And I got an MBA in computers back in the 70s, where a computer as big as this room. And I was a coder and stuff like that. So I had a software company that failed in the 70s. I feel I must have been the only person in the world that had a computer business that failed back then. But thank God, because failure gets you to where you should be.
Yeah.
And if you don't fail, that means you either got a shitty job you're settling for, and it keeps you there so you can't come out. So failure is a gift. And if somebody else sees that you're not, take their word for it. You probably don't belong there. And actually, I was a consultant of Fortune 500 companies. I was trying to design what I call the external management information system. That's what my thesis was on. Back in the 70s was the first time after the oil embargo that companies have to worry about what's going on outside their company. So I was trying to get management of larger companies to worry about their environment, their legislation, everything outside the company. But technology, how that would affect them, or government programs. And nobody knew what I was talking about. So I said I just did research. And I got into mergers and acquisitions. They're the people who want to know about stuff outside their business. And I was in Washington, D.C., and this is before the internet and everything like that. So you did research back then in libraries. I don't know if you remember them. Washington is the biggest source of libraries for any subject. You know, Department of Agriculture has the best library in the world on agriculture stuff. And so I'd get requests from, mostly people in New York City, big companies to, like, Marc, find me I want to know that we want to start a chain of pasta stores. What to do? So what I would do is go through the government and find the government has an expert on pasta. There's a guy at Commerce that gets paid, in today's dollars, probably $100,000 a year to study pasta. That's all. And I'd find him and I go make an appointment with him. And, growing in Wilkesboro, Pennsylvania, I didn't know anybody could call the government. I didn't know anybody could make an appointment to talk to anybody. And so I go down and talk to him, and it was just phenomenal. The stuff I would get. Market studies to give me for free, money programs you could do to start a business, all this kind of stuff. So I'd package it up, take his name off of it, and put my name on it, and sell it to Procter & Gamble for thousands of dollars. And that was a nice living. But after a while doing that, that was my first successful business, after 2 that failed. I said, God, why doesn't everyone know about this stuff? I mean, I sort of see it like this is oil in the ground, that nobody's tapping into. except the rich people that hire consultants like me, but anybody could do it. If a schmuck like me from Wilkes-Barre could call and get this stuff, anybody could do that. So I then went on a mission of how do I educate the average person of the programs that are out there that really change their life and that are so important to people, but they have no idea how to get them. And selling books was the only way to reach them for $20. And I sold a lot of books, but I don't get the results as I do now in one-on-one help. And that's what's so neat about technology. Instead of buying a book for $40 or whatever, for $20, I can help you one-on-one. Yeah. Or actually, I don't actually do it. Other members, it's a community. It took me years and years to figure out how to take this information I'm trying to get out and how do you package it so people will pay for it. They're stumbling through a lot of stuff. I've got this community thing. People want to join a community and get help from other people in the community like them, not from somebody who dresses like Bozo the Clown and screams at you.
Yeah. Who's the main target for government grants? Is it someone who's starting a business or has an idea, or someone who has an existing business, or not even business owners?
I'm certainly biased, but my clients were millionaires. What pissed me off is I was making billionaires out of millionaires. And that's no fun. Millionaires don't only want to talk about his money. I made a graph the other day about where income is in this study. Yeah, and I had AI do it. I'm not that smart. And, this is what happened since 1980. On the red line is the 90% bottom of the country. And this is a graph on all the wages in our country. Okay, back in 1980, 70% went to the bottom 90%. And the top 10% got 30%. Now, see that bottom 90%, their wage piece of the pie is just shrinking and shrinking. Guess who's going up? So they're getting a bigger piece of the pie. These are people getting screwed. I mean, this is why I think we have so much hate in the country. Man, if you don't let me play the game and you don't think it's fair, you get pissed off. And it's too bad. Another thing that really surprised me is we create more millionaires than anybody else in the world. 24 million millionaires. Next is China with only 6 million, Japan 3, United Kingdom 2 or 3. But what has shocked me, when you take all the developed countries, and there's about 30 of them, we have the most poor people. We have a higher percentage of poor people than any other developed country.
The disappearance of the middle class is what it comes down to.
Right, exactly. And that's what. So it is for everybody. I mean, I don't know what I thought government programs were for really poor people. And it's not true at all. Poor now is like a family making $40,000, $50,000 a year is now for the basic programs, like food stamps and stuff like that. But very few are that low. Now, like childcare, you could be making $200,000 a year and get grants for childcare. To buy a house, it could be $150,000. Oh, even New York, you get free tuition because you only make $125,000 a year at the university. There are just so many things. And my biggest mission is trying to teach people, not so much about the programs, but what the picture looks like. It's not just one program for something. Like you want to help pay the rent. Well, right now, local program, New Jersey is very well, not only rent, but for people starting a business and stuff like that. But they'll hear of one program and they'll check and they'll say, oh, you make too much money or we're out of money or whatever. But now you could go to any city in this country. And if you want to go online right now, I'll wait for you. But you put in an organization called findhelp.org. See, this is one of the few places you could go to find only people that give you money. See, the problem is people are going to Google, and you put in rent grants or something like that, and first of all, you get a fire hose of 2 billion websites. And the problem is they're in there, they give money, but you'll never find them. Because what you'll find are the people that want to get money from you to help you with your problem. So then you call some of these people and you think, oh, this solved my problem. I got to give somebody money, and you give up. And so that's what I'm fighting for. How do you get people not to give up based on what they find in Google? The other people that are doing this for free don't advertise. They don't have a budget for that. So people don't know what they have, and that hurts me. That gets me up every goddamn day,
Right. So how does someone know that they should even be looking for grants?
Well, I'm trying to find a good podcast to educate people. Yeah, no, that's what I see. It's how, on social media, I do that, and it's hard. It's so... But I see the country now. We have two parts of our society I see. One is capitalism, which is cool. I like capitalism because it really keeps people doing something that is of value to somebody else. If all of us say, I think everybody should have this, and nobody needs it, then you're wasting your time. It's sort of like we're here to love other people and to help other people. So our work or whatever that we have to contribute to society should be needed. And capitalism puts some number on it. But then we have another part of society, which I call the community society. And that's where people help people. So you have capitalism. And if you take the GDP, capitalism represents about 2/3 of it. This community society is about 1/3 of it. So that's the government, your church, nonprofit organizations, and everything. Everything that's there to help you improve your life without them making money. This is to improve people. And that's the section that society, 1/3, that people don't know about or how to deal with because we're not trained. We're trained to spend money.
So how does your community help?
They join for $20 and then tell me what you need, what you're looking for, and I'll show you 5 places. Like for rent. Okay, say you have rent and you're in, what's the city are you in?
I'm in Montclair.
And so you're in Montclair, and I say you go to findhelp.org and put in your zip code, then put in rent for what you're looking for, and you'll see 70, 80 programs in Montclair that give money for rent. And sure, everyone won't be for you, everybody will be whatever, but you're way ahead of the game than from Google. And see, to me, what people don't know how to do is research, because even though those people that may be only for seniors to help rent, or maybe only for veterans to help rent, they're still a wonderful source because they're people helping people with a rent problem. They're in that industry every day, so they hear of other things. People who are living and breathing that every day know what's good and bad.
Did you ever have to pay back the grants, or are they always one way?
No. Grant by its definition, no. But what happens now, we have more programs that call them grants, but you don't have to pay them back. Madison, Wisconsin has a program. They'll give you $250,000 to start a business there as long as it lasts 5 years or something like that.
That example of a grant. I guess along the way, do you have to show things to the government that says, yes, I'm doing whatever the stipulation is, or I'm adhering to whatever?
No, there's very little of that. It's amazing how people would think. I mean, some of the grants have that, and at the end, for the arts, tap dancers need a grant. Oh, what'd you do with that? Just a formality. That's usually not an issue with anything.
How hard is it to actually get the grant? Is it like odds of winning the lottery, or?
Whatever you say, whatever anybody says about that is right. Because there's so many different, everyone has a different criteria. Everyone, I know the inventors grants for SBIR, it's called Small Business Innovative Research. So that's you're a small business, have an idea. They get about 20% awarded of those who apply. Others now, I have a list of all major grants that, like the grant the IRS has for people with children, 20% of the people that are eligible could get $7,000 and they don't apply. It's the same way even with food stamps. You think everybody would know about that. No, there's millions and millions of people that are eligible and they don't apply. And it depends on the grant. Some are where they have to give out the money as long as people are eligible and they show up at the door. So there's something like that. And then some have a definite cap. They only give out so much. And now there's so many, particularly in small business and stuff like that. All of a sudden, we need to give out more money for business, and they'll have a couple $100,000 locally, and it comes open for a month and it's gone. So they're not there all the time.
You mentioned Google. You mentioned also that site, was it findhelp.org?
Right.
Can AI, like a ChatGPT, can that be used in the grant searching or grant applying or any part of this process?
Yes, absolutely. I think it's great. See, grants only come from government offices and nonprofit organizations. Find Help, that is all set up that way already. Google is not. So You could go in, and I do this a lot. You could go to, I use ChatGPT, and give me a listing of 25 government offices and nonprofit organizations in Montclair, New Jersey that help businesses start or expand. And you'll get 25, and mostly little nonprofit organizations that do that. I like that. The problem with AI is not current, so it's not like Google, you get the news stuff. And I also worry, as soon as this gets bigger, the money guys are going to get in there and figure out how to fuck it up.
Right. And what about the size of the grant? I mean, I'm sure they're small and large. What's the largest one you've ever seen?
I mean, for a normal person, over $100,000 is a lot. But people, particularly a lot of my clients, are really just spending money, and a couple of grand is just incredible to them. And so you could go right now in that Find Help and put in financial assistance. And in my zip code, there's 250 organizations that give out money for people who need financial assistance. All nonprofits, never have to pay any in the bank. 250. I mean, that astounds me. And the other thing that scares a lot of people, they hear that the applications are complicated. They can be, but they're not. And most of them for individuals are not, even for small businesses they're not. And if they are, you could get free help. The people giving the money will also help you apply. But people don't realize that. They don't like calling the government. What upsets me more is that people, I want to look for a grant, so I'll hire a grant writer. No, because they think it's all complicated. What's complicated is finding where to apply. The application is pretty easy. So I tell people, if you're looking for a grant writer and don't even know what to apply, that's like buying a prom dress before you get invited to the prom. Find out that you get an invitation before you buy that dress.
Since these are government programs, what changes with the grants when different administrations come into office?
They do change, but the only thing that's constant is they keep growing. So there'll be a little more of this, a little less of that, or whatever, depending on.
Are there any areas or industries where there's more there's really a concentration of grants available for people?
I think right now the biggest opportunity is in job training. Biden's put so much money into it, and you could now get paid $40,000 a year with just a high school diploma and get trained for a $100,000 a year job. No degree, nothing. Yeah.
And so that grant is covering the training? Is that what the grant's doing?
Yeah, yes, you get paid $40,000. There's lots you could get. As long as you don't have a job, you could right now go to your what's called the Career One-Stop Center. Every county has one. You get $8,000 to help you train for any career. You could have $1 million sitting in the bank. Doesn't matter. As long as you don't have a job, they'll pay for you. I mean, doctors go there to learn like a new procedure or something like that.
Yeah. Any tips for beginners who's trying to figure this out? Besides, and I know joining your community is probably a good thing.
No, you don't. I mean, the mission of the community is it's a way to support myself while I try to educate people. I would do all this for free. But what I want to do, if you need living expenses, you make an appointment with a HUD financial counselor. I know you're probably better at this, but people who are specialized in people with real budget problems do this for free. And if you go to hud.gov/counseling, and then for business, you go to sba.gov/local-assistance. Now, you don't want to talk to the SBA at all, but they have a database of just business-free mentors in every city in the country. And there's probably a dozen where you live that you could call up, make an appointment, and say, hey, I want to start a business. And you never ask for money, because some have money, some don't. What you want them is to help you see what the landscape is for somebody who wants to start a business where you live. So you talk to those counselors to help guide you.
Yeah. All right, Matthew, that's all the questions I have for you today. I want to thank you for joining me. You provided some great information on government grants. I'm sure our listeners definitely found it useful and informational. Before we go, how best can the listeners access your platform, Lesko Help, or get in touch with you for more information?
LeskoHelp.com, and there's a lot of free stuff on YouTube I got thousands of videos, all this stuff, and all the links that I talk about are usually in the description, and that's YouTube.com/Matthew Lesko, one word.
Perfect. We'll include all that information in the resources section of the show notes. Thanks again, Matthew, and thank you to everyone who tuned in today. Don't forget to follow the Agent of Wealth on the platform you listen from and leave us a review of the show. We're currently accepting new clients, and if you'd like to schedule a one-on-one consultation with our advisors, please do so at bautisfinancial.com/call.
Thank you for listening to the Agent of Wealth podcast. Click the subscribe button below to be notified when new episodes become available. The information covered represents the views and opinions of the guests and does not necessarily represent the views or opinions of Bautis Financial. The content has been made available for informational and educational purposes only and is not intended to be a substitute for professional financial planning and investment advice. Always seek the advice of your financial advisor or other qualified financial service provider with any questions you may have regarding your investments and financial planning.